Canada's accelerated trade diversification efforts were underscored during Trade Minister Mary Ang's recent visit to the EU, where she reaffirmed Canada's commitment to reducing dependence on the United States amid rising trade tensions and recent US tariffs. Canada is actively expanding its global partnerships, particularly through CETA with the EU, which has already increased trade by over 65% since its implementation. Minister Ang's discussions focused on critical minerals, energy and technology exports, strengthening Canada's role as a key European supplier. Beyond Europe, Canada is shifting its energy exports to Asia, particularly Japan and China, to reduce reliance on the United States as its primary oil buyer. Historically, 97% of Canadian crude oil was exported to the US, but recent agreements with Japan and China signal a strategic move toward energy market diversification. At the same time, Canada is deepening trade ties with Indonesia, South Korea, and Indo-Pacific nations under the CPTPP, securing access to high-growth economies. This diversification strategy not only shields Canada from potential future US tariffs, but also enhances economic resilience and global competitiveness. Minister Ang's EU visit highlights Canada's long-term commitment to strengthening international trade alliances, ensuring sustainable growth beyond its traditional reliance on the US. Canadian Trade Minister Mary Ang recently visited Brussels to strengthen economic ties between Canada and the European Union, aiming to diversify Canada's trade partnerships beyond the United States. This initiative comes amid ongoing trade tensions with the US, including recent tariff threats. Since the provisional implementation of the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CETA, in September 2017, trade between Canada and the European Union has experienced significant growth. Two-way merchandise trade reached a record high of $100 billion in 2021, marking a 33.7% increase from 2016 levels. This growth outpaced the overall 18.6% increase in Canadian merchandise trade during the same period. Canadian merchandise exports to the EU rose from $20.2 billion in 2016 to $32.5 billion in 2021, reflecting a 46.4% increase. Imports from the EU also saw a substantial rise, growing by 28.4% to $67.5 billion in 2021. The number of Canadian businesses exporting to the EU has also increased. Between 2016 and 2019, the count of Canadian firms exporting goods to the EU grew from 7,753 to 8,291, with small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, being the primary contributors to this growth. Despite these positive trends, there remains potential to further capitalize on CETA's provisions. The utilization rate of CETA preferences by Canadian exporters was 57% in 2020, indicating that a notable proportion of eligible exports did not claim preferential treatment. This suggests opportunities to enhance awareness and support for businesses to fully benefit from the agreement. Minister Mary Ang has emphasized the importance of leveraging CETA to its fullest extent in discussions with EU trade officials. She highlighted the need to assist Canadian businesses, particularly SMEs, in navigating export procedures and reducing bureaucratic hurdles. This approach aims to facilitate easier access to European markets and promote mutual economic growth. Recognizing that 98% of Canadian businesses are small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, Minister Mary Ang has emphasized the importance of supporting these companies in accessing international markets, particularly in Europe. Several initiatives have been implemented to facilitate their entry into European markets. Launched in 2016, the CanExport SMEs program provides financial assistance of up to $75,000 to help small businesses explore new international markets. In response to the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, the program adapted to better support SMEs by focusing on key areas. It helped businesses develop and expand their e-commerce presence by covering costs associated with online sales, platforms, and digital strategy consulting. Additionally, it provided funding for attending virtual trade shows and other business-to-business events, ensuring that SMEs could maintain global connections despite travel restrictions. The program also assisted companies in navigating new COVID-19 related trade barriers, offering support for obtaining international market certifications and meeting evolving regulatory requirements. Through these targeted measures, CanExport SMEs aims to equip small businesses with the resources needed to succeed in a rapidly changing global trade environment. These measures are designed to help SMEs overcome bureaucratic hurdles and adapt to the evolving market landscape. Evolving global trade in February 2024, during the 4th Joint Committee meeting of the Canada-EU Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CETA. Canada and the EU concluded negotiations on a text establishing rules to facilitate access for SMEs to investment dispute resolution under CETA. This development enhances SMEs' ability to participate in and benefit from the opportunities created by CETA, providing them with a more straightforward mechanism to resolve investment-related disputes. Mutual Recognition Agreement for Professional Qualifications. Progress has been made toward adopting a mutual recognition agreement for professional architects between Canada and the EU. This agreement will facilitate the process of obtaining recognition for professional qualifications across both regions, benefiting professionals and small businesses by reducing bureaucratic obstacles and enabling easier access to European markets. Collaboration on Critical Minerals. Canada and the European Union have been strengthening their collaboration on critical minerals essential for green technologies, such as electric vehicles and wind turbines, to support sustainable economic growth. This partnership aims to secure and diversify supply chains for these vital resources, reducing dependence on non-allied nations. In 2021, Canada and the EU established the Strategic Partnership on Raw Materials, focusing on strengthening connections between Canadian and European raw material industries to create a more resilient and secure supply chain. They are also promoting joint research and development initiatives to advance extraction, processing, and recycling technologies for critical minerals, while upholding high ESG standards to ensure that critical mineral resource development is sustainable and responsible. Canada's Critical Minerals Strategy. Canada has identified 31 minerals as essential for the transition to a green and digital economy, recognizing their crucial role in producing clean energy technologies, electric vehicle batteries, semiconductors, and other advanced industries. To secure its position as a global supplier of choice, the Canadian Critical Minerals Strategy, supported by nearly $4 billion in the 2022 budget, outlines a comprehensive plan to develop, process, and export these resources while adhering to high environmental and social standards. A key focus of the strategy is sustainable mining practices, ensuring that extraction and processing methods minimize ecological impact. This includes stricter environmental regulations, advancements in recycling technologies to reduce dependence on raw material extraction, and adopting low-carbon mining processes such as electrifying mining equipment and implementing carbon capture initiatives. By prioritizing sustainability, Canada aims to position itself as a leading producer of responsibly sourced critical minerals, meeting growing global demand while maintaining strong environmental stewardship. Another crucial aspect of the strategy is Indigenous engagement, recognizing that many of Canada's critical mineral deposits are located on or near Indigenous lands. The government is working closely with Indigenous communities to ensure they benefit from mining projects through revenue-sharing agreements, job creation, and skills training programs. Additionally, projects are expected to uphold free, prior, and informed consent under the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, reinforcing ethical and equitable resource development. The strategy also highlights the economic growth potential of critical minerals, with projections indicating that the sector could generate thousands of new jobs and attract significant private and foreign investment. Regions rich in these minerals, such as Ontario, Quebec, British Columbia, and the Northwest Territories, are expected to see increased mining activity, leading to new infrastructure development and supply chain expansion. Furthermore, Canada is seeking to build stronger international partnerships, particularly with the European Union and the United States, to establish secure and diversified critical mineral supply chains that reduce dependence on adversarial nations. By investing in innovation, sustainability, and indigenous partnerships, Canada aims to solidify its role as a reliable, ethical, and competitive supplier of critical minerals in the global market. The Canadian Critical Minerals Strategy not only supports the country's economic future, but also plays a vital role in advancing the global clean energy transition and digital transformation. Recent developments. During her visit to Brussels, Canadian Trade Minister Mary Young met with EU Trade Commissioner Maroš Šefčovič to discuss further collaboration on critical minerals. Both parties acknowledged the importance of these minerals in manufacturing green technologies and emphasized the need to strengthen supply chains between Canada and the EU.